Good day! We get December and our first tutorial of the season. We asked our followers on Instagram what they want to learn, and they want to learn a lot about 360s. And in this video we're gonna answer fun questions like how do I start learning 360s from knowing nothing, or how do I increase the rotational speed, or how to do like grabs when spinning 180s, 360s and 540s. Let's get started. Alex WM Biscuit asks, what would you recommend for learning a 360 from knowing absolutely nothing? Let's first learn what Old Star 26 is asking about. How do I get better at popping is his question. That's the absolute first thing you gotta learn. I have a full in-depth video on that, but the key points to learn that trick is, it's a technique, not a trick. The following, that when you do popping, you just sink down briefly into the boots with a little bounce, boom, like that. Then you take your skis on, do it again, look down on your noses in the beginning and see if they stay on the ground. Then you know that you have a strong pop that brings you forward. Once you got that down, you gradually add some speed, add some side hits. Make sure that every time when you land perpendicular to that landing. You should feel some shin pressure and how you absorb that landing. Pop here. Full extension, perfect perpendicular landing. When we want to pop a 180, 360, 540, whatever, you have this nice skier stance, you know, you're nice and agile, ready to send it. And when you want to start spinning, I often teach people to first do this. Feel that the rotation comes from the feet, that rotation moves up into the knees, then the hip and the shoulders. And then lastly the arms, but they're less important kinda than what's going on down here. So start like this. Start with 180s in the beginning, 360s is probably too hard. Look at that, it's fine. Once you've done that, you can practice like this. Do the same thing, I focus only on the feet, knees, hip, shoulders, and then once I'm in the air, I late pull in the arms. This is important to work on the timing. Check it out. Ta-da! Next question is from Nicholas. He's asking, I have been working on my threes. I spin to the right and I usually land on my right side. What to do? There's many ways to do a 360 wrong, and not so many ways to do it right. So I'm going to do some guessing here. So spinning to the right, that way, that's my unnatural side, and he lands on the right side. My first guess is that this is what's going on, that perhaps when you're winding up, this happens. Whoop. And then you chuck it over and you push off too much or like unevenly from the left leg. Remember when you pop, like you want to have the exact same amount of pop upwards. It's true that that left foot is kind of going to push away from that edge to help you get that rotation started. So that's the first thing I want you to be careful with, Nicholas. That when you're winding up, that you twist the hip a minimal amount in the wind up. You don't need much to do a 360. And that's going to reduce the likelihood of this thing happening.
Here is an example of a crooked pop. Look at the left leg, it's fully extended while the other leg is bent. So he's pushing that hip over towards the right, and that is a part of the reason why he's landing really back seated. So have a gentle wind up, the hip is not twisted much, evenly popping off the legs. You see how the body weight was centered there. Same thing again, gentle wind up, not using the hip too much, strong pop. I'm not rushing it, so the chest is more or less down the hill before I go up into the air. And it lands nicely perpendicular to the landing.
A few reasons why you might be landing crooked on the landing, sideways or backwards, could be the following. First and most important thing to make sure you get right is that strong pop. so that on your 180s you really land on your heels. That's a common issue. Another one is that you swing your arms like that, kind of like that. You don't want to do that. The arms, imagine a flat plane around you. They really want to follow you around. And then another thing that some people do wrong is that on the takeoff they kind of start looking down. That's fully okay if you're advanced enough for it. I look down quite often. It's fine, I land perfect anyway. But in the beginning, I recommend you try to keep that head up and look around the shoulder like that. Makes it much easier to see where the line is going to be. You get less dizzy. So that are a few of the reasons why you might be landing crooked. So M. Stafford is saying how to do 180, 360 and 540 with grabs. Maybe I should do a whole video on this, but here are a couple of things for you to have in mind. I'm using in this video, since it's kind of an intermediate difficulty spinning video, the mute grab. If the mute grab is too difficult for you, try the safety. Make sure that you got the safety and mute grab down very well with a good pop before you even think about doing spins with these tricks. We got a full video up there for you to check it out. What is important here is that you do exactly like normal. Right in towards the jump. In this video, since it's intermediate, I'm not trying to show you any exaggerated, I'm just having like a chilled wind up. Set it off, strong pop, and a minimal amount of like early rotation, like you should on any 360. Take it quite easy. I probably have rotated maybe this much before I get that mute grab in. And it's very important to have that patience, that you fully extend your legs, boom, rotation is starting, and maybe just before you hit the highest point of the trajectory, it's when you get the grab. Just look around the shoulder for the landing and enjoy it. Obviously you should do many 180 safety or mute grab first before you do or even think about doing a 360 with it, because they gotta get pretty good. And you know, 360s, crashing on it has consequences. One last thing that's important. So in this video I'm only spinning to the left and I grab with the right, often called trailing mute grab. I prefer this because if you spin to the left and grab that way, it kind of blocks you a little bit. While if you grab like that, it kind of twists your body in the direction that you're spinning. So it doesn't really help, but I prefer this way in the beginning. And once you get it down, you can start playing around with grabbing lead, which is the left hand spin to the left or right hand to the right. But for now, we do trailing. Elias Stadler asks, any tips on how to increase rotational speed? Yes, I got a few for you. To spin maximally fast, you want to have a slightly wider hip width stance so that you can take off on the inside edges a little bit. It has its drawbacks compared to carved. Carved ones are beautiful and steezy, but we're not looking at that today. That's for another video. And then try this little exercise. I kind of did it already today. Lock the arms in. See if you can use just the toes and knees to do like a 180 or 270. Good up. Like that. And now you get to use the hip a little bit, but make sure that that hip is, or your center of gravity is bang in the middle of your feet. You never want to deviate from that stance, really. Sometimes you do, maybe on flat spins, etc. It could be good. Anyway, now we use the hip as well. Got a little off there. Boom. And then lastly, get the arms in, all of it together. Almost a 5, despite standing on this soft ground. So it's one way to increase your rotational speed. And it's really crucial that when you set it off, that you allow yourself to take off in the air, then pull the arms. Then it will be real nice 360s coming from you. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot. If you didn't learn enough, we do freestyle and ski technique camps for adults. You can check them out there or there. Not quite sure. We also have a join button for really in-depth freestyle ski tutorials. If you need some ski gear, we also got some links in the description. We'd love it if you'd use if you need some ski stuff. Give it a like, subscribe, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. We have a whole lineup of exciting tutorials coming soon. Ciao!